Monday morning edition of Hot Mike rolls on here on WDAY Extra Inforum.com. We're also seen in Sioux Falls and Rapid City, South Dakota, celebrating today as I could say another partial native son has won a Super Bowl championship, of course, with Dallas Goedert and the Philadelphia Eagles winning last night over Kansas City. I can confirm, I know there was a watch party in Havana, North Dakota last night. Dallas is where he was born. But he was raised in Britain, South Dakota, and they certainly were enjoying that all week long and certainly yesterday. Britain Hecla head football coach Jacob Skogstad joins us this morning on the day after. I got to ask, just what's school been like the day after a native guy wins a Super Bowl?
Definitely some 88 jerseys walking around the halls again. There was a lot of that last week as well. We do have some Chiefs fans, and they kind of walked in with their tails tucked this morning, and it's been fun though. Kind of just the banter back and forth between those Chiefs fans, and then obviously a lot of Eagles and Dallas fans in Britain. So it was enjoyable to see last night for sure.
So you mentioned off air, you just wrapped up your 5th year coaching. What did you getting into this, knowing full well that's where Dallas Goedert was from? Tell me about, for you, the anticipation of taking that job, knowing such a high-level player played there.
Yeah, it kind of came in a whirlwind for me. I got hired during COVID, so I had never actually been to Britain until I came up here for a job interview. And then I went to South Dakota State, and I was there when Dallas and Winnicky and all those guys were playing. So I remember watching him play in Brookings on Saturdays, and then knew he was from a small town in South Dakota. Didn't really know where Britain was, but coming up here, it was certainly pretty unique and cool to see that a guy of his caliber could come from a small town like this.
And in the fact that he comes back as often as he does, we were talking about this, we've seen it after he got drafted. He was back in Havana and back in Britain. What does he mean? You're there now, you live it, you see it. What does he mean to Britain?
You know, and I don't even know if he knows what he means to Britain, because I see it every day at the school. I get to teach K through 12 physical education, so I see every kid, and all the way down kindergarten to seniors in high school, you see 88 Eagles jerseys walking around the halls. There were some elementary kids that just idolize him right now, and it's a cool thing for a small town to have a role model to look up to like that, because I grew up in Sioux Falls, and out of Sioux Falls we maybe had 1 or 2 NFL athletes, professional athletes, and coming to a small town of 1,200 people to have one of those guys, and not just one of those guys, a guy that plays at as high of a level as he plays at, especially when he's healthy. It's been really fun, and it's awesome for our kids to have someone like that to look up to.
Especially, Jacob, after a couple years ago when he went, I know he was dinged up and got back for the Super Bowl, and they lost. And then to have the kind of year he's had, the kind of playoff he had, and then cap it off, with a couple catches last night, and just that, I can't even imagine what school has been like already today.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's just something that you don't really think you're ever going to get to live through. I'm good friends with his mom and his sister and his brother-in-laws, and seeing it through their eyes has been really fun too. I had the opportunity to go watch a game in Philadelphia this year, and that was a blast. It kind of stunk because it was when he was hurt, so he didn't play, but we got to talk to him after the game, and it's kind of just a surreal feeling in Britain right now.
You mentioned it last week. Tell me about the lead up was. You mentioned on Friday you had Dallas Day on Friday.
Yeah, it almost kind of felt similar to like a homecoming week for us last week.
Wow.
All throughout the week, we were decorating windows at the school, kind of challenged Main Street, and Main Street businesses decorated their windows with Eagles stuff, South Dakota State stuff, Britain stuff, kind of whatever we could to show our support. Our school still today is just littered with 88 Eagles fly, go Dallas. Um, and then on Friday, we encouraged everyone to wear either Eagles green or South Dakota State blue and yellow, and just kind of celebrate really what's been an awesome journey so far this year, and really a great career for him so far.
All right, so now you've been in it for a bit. The battle over Havana and Britain, is that discussed daily down there about who can rightfully claim him? Because his grandpa up until his dying days told me he is from Havana. He's not from Britain. He's from Havana, North Dakota.
It's not really talked about a lot up here. I mean, we're so close to them; it's like 6 miles to Havana, so we can kind of share him a little bit. But no, it's not really talked about a lot. But he was born in Havana and he grew up in Britain, so that's kind of what we go by here.
You mentioned the impact on the young kids that you see each day, that's phenomenal. I know the football account tweeted out that photo. We just showed it of him in high school. What did you hear about him as a high school athlete from when you got there?
I heard that he was just a freak athlete.
Yeah.
He loved basketball, wanted to go play basketball. He was actually going to go to Presentation College, and then
amazing.
South Dakota State jumped in late, and he ended up walking on there, and the rest is history. But from what I understand, he was a really, really talented athlete in Britain. And then once he got to the college level, he kind of filled out and made himself into a NFL caliber guy.
Yeah, seeing that up close, covering the Bison when they played the Jackrabbits, man, he was something else. I have to ask, as a high school football coach, how much does that impact trickle down? Do you see guys that want to come out play football because of Dallas's connection there? Is there a direct correlation at all?
There is, but moving up here, I quickly realized that Britain has been and will be a football town for
ever.
Yeah. So having an NFL guy certainly helps with that. Recess playground football is very popular at a lot of schools, but it's really popular here. It's something that the kids look up to. They see him on TV. They see him when he's back during the off season and everything. And it's something that they kind of get to idolize him in a way. And I think football is a great avenue for a lot of our kids to kind of express that.
I have to ask now, just thinking when you're saying that, because how frequently he loves to go home, what is it going to be like when he comes home and has the Lombardi Trophy with him?
A big party. I mean, just a celebration. It's gonna be awesome. The kids are looking forward to it. I actually had a first grader on Friday, or maybe it was Thursday, actually ask if Dallas was coming for Dallas Day. I said no. He's got some big things to do down in New Orleans right now, but he'll be back. He'll come, and the kids will lose it when they see him for that first time.
I mean, just that emotion alone, and you see it for a variety of things when guys are a chance to come back, but a first time to do that's going to be awfully special sometime this summer.
It is. It's going to be really fun to experience and really fun to celebrate with him and his family.
The fact that he's so close, Jacob, how much does that help and foster a great relationship? Some say, you know what, I don't give back to our hometown or just don't have time. The fact that he does, how much does that add to the amount of respect and amount of pride you guys have in Britain over that?
I think it goes hand in hand. Like you said, we have a ton of pride for him. He has a ton of pride for where he grew up. And then he also knows that he was in the same position that a lot of these kids are that are looking up to him. He looked up to players when he was young, and now he's fortunate enough to be that guy. And we're fortunate enough to kind of experience the ride with him.
I got to ask now, as a Jackrabbit alum, is there a highlight play that stands out from his days in college for you? There's like, oh, that was fun to watch, or favorite one that stands out?
There's a couple. The Drake one-handed catch obviously is
pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. And then you're not gonna like hearing this one, but I was sitting in the student section for the one-handed tip catch when
pretty
he threw
good
the
too.
horns down, and that one's pretty memorable too. But there's just so many. I mean, you could go to the USD catch where he had a lot of one-handed catches.
Yeah.
That's kind of his trademark. Has been since high school, as you guys saw with the picture that you guys shared out. But there's a lot of memories, and they just keep coming too.
Is honestly the first one I remember that comes to mind is a play he made in Fargo that didn't count that should have. He scored a touchdown up here and it got waved off. It was a one-handed grab that he scored, and they waved it off, and it should have been a touchdown. Like, who is this guy? And they couldn't stop him. Nobody could for the better part of 2 years. And it's gone on to the NFL and been a heck of a career there. So what? Anything else planned the rest of the day? Or is it kind of spontaneous as the day goes on?
We're just kind of going with it right now. We're just still kind of coming down off the high from last night.
I really appreciate the time this morning. Enjoy it, and thanks so much for doing this, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Jacob Skogstad, head coach of Britland Hecla in South Dakota, Dallas Goedert's hometown. They can now say they are Super Bowl champion that they have produced. That's pretty darn cool. You see those kind of signs all over the place. Bismarck's got one now. Home of Carson Wentz. You can brag about that to the end of time, and they will do that for certain in Britain. And I know they will in Havana. That's the debate rages on. And I have a feeling when the summertime comes around, he comes back, you're going to see the Lombardi Trophy coming with him. I know it doesn't travel like the Stanley Cup, but that doesn't be out of the realm of possibility that he's coming back with it. So that was fun stuff to check in there. You see those old photos of him too. And I did that story that when I interviewed his grandpa and his mom, his late grandpa Gordy, who passed away a couple of years ago. I went to I believe it was Kindred. I met him in the spring of 2018. So it was prior to Dallas getting drafted. And that shirt his grandpa made, we showed it in the video, Pride of Havana, North Dakota. I got so many letters leading up to the draft that offseason after South Dakota State made it to the semifinals. I think it was the year they lost to James Madison. And Dallas was hurt, got banged up. He was not, I don't know if he played in that game or wasn't 100% in that semifinal game, but the immense amount of pride that they had and the tug of war that went on between North and South Dakota. It's still happening today, now 7 years later after he's won a Super Bowl championship. Fun stuff there. We will take our final break. We'll come back. We'll wrap things up. Got a couple other emails to get to from last night's game, and we'll send you out the door with a busy Sports Monday. That's coming up when Hot Mike wraps after this.